Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How
you been, Sean?
I'm here.
You're very broken up. Your video or your vocal.
Try something.
It's a little bit still broken up. Maybe it's on my end.
We have the streaming going also, and that may be an issue that I can resolve.
Yeah, it's a little scratchy.
Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How you folks doing?
I cannot complain. Every day above ground's a good day.
You know who says that, don't you? Old people say that, Bob.
And I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm there, my friend Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, how are you? It's Andy.
Hey, Andy, how you doing, brother? Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Besides COVID.
Yeah.
Coming through better?
Sean, your audio is pretty horrible.
Yeah, it's bad. Hello, Mr. Reynolds.
Hello, can you hear
How's
me?
Mr. Reynolds?
Good. I'm trying to set up my audio here, my phone. Hang on.
Sean's a little bit scratchy.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
Good morning, Andrew or Andy.
Ooh, Andrew.
A formal meeting.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Sound really good.
Okay.
New headphone sets. Looking good. And by the way, you guys ain't old.
Thank you.
You're prime. Oh, maybe you are, Bob.
Whoa, ouch.
You're older than me, aren't you? I'm 66. I think you're a day or two older than me.
My video or my audio is real bad. I couldn't hear. Yes, I am. I'm a couple days older than you are.
Yes, you are, my friend.
Better?
Not good.
Not good. Okay.
You need a headset, brother.
You know what? How's that, gentlemen? Is that better? And ladies?
It's really bad, Sean.
Still really bad.
Really bad.
Trying to dial in via speakerphone and run the video from the meeting.
Got a speakerphone. It's not good.
You tell them, Mayor. Those young kids don't know nothing, do they, Mayor?
No, speakerphone. Holy, how you doing, Robert?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Oh, I know it.
Morning, Mayor.
Morning. Didn't get any snow last night, which was good.
Huh.
Get a couple days of a break. Man,
You know, if you move to the lakefront, the sun's out every day down here.
I can imagine. Yeah, it makes a difference too.
Yeah, I think I got maybe an inch of snow.
That's about it.
Seriously,
Man.
that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
Because it all blows off your driveway to other people's driveway.
That's why we got the big. That's why I got the big fans across the street.
oh boy.
Oh. My board members are going to be envious. Next week I'm in Florida, so you guys, I'll be sitting on a beach with my my board meeting there with
But
nice waves coming in.
that's good. Hope you get good weather,
Hell yeah.
man.
It's supposed to be 80 degrees and sunny all week.
Well, that's great because it's been cold down there.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
been. It's 40s, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, 40s and 50s. So you had a good week. That'll be great.
It's t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
This is Sean. I'm on via the phone. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot better.
Much
All
better.
right, great.
Okay.
All righty. I'm going to 7:25, so we'll give it some more time for people to join us. And then we'll get rolling with the agenda that I have put forth here for everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Sean, just an FYI, you might want to talk into the mic when you do this. It is pretty light as far as volume.
Okay. Yeah, let me bump this up a little bit also. If that helps.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
taking
you.
roll. Charlie, you're taking roll call too?
We will take roll.
Okay.
People, if you could please just state your name in the participant area for that. You are not required to, but it would be helpful. Certainly, as we open up the public comment period, I would appreciate if you could offer your name and address information or your workplace, just to convey to the board, your position on these matters.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Cam.
Morning, Cam.
Hey, Cam.
Good morning. Okay, everyone. As we get started here, I'm going to mute people as we review the meeting just to avoid any of the background noise and distraction. Certainly as we open it up for public comment, if you could please send a chat message that you would like to speak, and we will address you in the order in which you have posted your interest to speak.
Sean, did you hear me say that I needed to leave the meeting at 5 after 8? So if you need a quorum before that, you better take it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Wen.
Can you guys see me? I'm not sure.
Yes, I see you now.
Okay. Thank you.
Morning, Wentz.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, here we go.
Morning, Norma.
Good morning, Sean.
It's Andy.
Oh, that was Andy. Good morning, Andy.
I'm not as good looking as Sean.
Sure you are.
Hey, yes, you are. You're younger than me, too.
Yeah.
Okay, 7:31. I believe I've taken care of, oh, we got somebody joining us. A couple more people joining, so I just want to give it a minute, please.
Hold on 1 minute.
Okay, everyone, just going to go over our agenda here and just talk about how we will conduct this public meeting via Zoom. In front of you, if you can view the screen, is an agenda. We look to move this meeting along, but certainly provide the appropriate time for public comment. I want to take some time to introduce the agency and the project. Introducing the project after we formally open the meeting and receive the public comments. Towards the end of the meeting, I'll begin to close the meeting by reviewing some of the written comments, all of the written comments that have been submitted, and then we will move towards the next steps here regarding this project, this great project in the town of Hamburg. A housekeeping detail for Zoom. You can certainly assist us in the meeting if you're not a board member by muting at this time. If you would like to offer a comment regarding the project and the materials that are put forth in this meeting, or that you have reviewed, please do place a comment in the chat section of the screen. I will address, you can comment to everyone. I will then address you one at a time, and we will review your comments. All right, thanks everyone for joining us. I want to introduce myself to you. I'm Sean Doyle. I'm the Executive Director of the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency. I've been working with this agency for 3 years now as the director. I came to this agency with about 20 years experience in commercial real estate. After I achieved my master's degree from Canisius College, I entered the field of real estate and have been working in it in some fashion ever since. Through my skills and experience, I've become a certified real property and facility management administrator. I've worked in real estate services. I've worked in real estate acquisitions and site selection. I work for both large and small companies. The largest company that I worked for was a healthcare provider by the name of United Healthcare, a top Fortune company. And then I've worked for a local development company here in Western New York. I've worked in projects in healthcare, Class A and B office, manufacturing and warehouse, and multifamily. That's largely where I've spent my time. In addition to serving the town through the Hamburg IDA, I serve on the board of Invest Buffalo Niagara. I'm on the board of the Southtowns Regional Chamber of Commerce, the board of the Pitch Hamburg, which is a startup incubator project in the town of Hamburg that we're working on. I'm on the Village of Hamburg Economic Development Committee, Town of Hamburg Comprehensive Plan Committee, Town of Hamburg Retail Committee, Board of Advisors for Hilbert College, and the Frontier Strategic Planning Committee as well. So I just want to give you a little bit of depth and breadth of my experience and an understanding of my role within the agency and within the town of Hamburg. Our mission statement as the Hamburg IDA, what we're looking to do here and what we're challenged with as a board of directors and executive director and all our staff is establishing this agency to advance job opportunities, wellness and general prosperity, economic welfare of this great town of Hamburg, New York. We're charged with maximizing the employment and property value for the town and its residents. Our board is comprised of 9 community members from the town of Hamburg. Generally, each represent a taxing jurisdiction. So we have representatives from both of the villages of Blaisdell and of Hamburg, from the town of Hamburg. We have representatives from the Frontier School District. We have representatives from the Hamburg School District. These are unpaid volunteer board positions, and these people are charged with essentially being a fiduciary. And you will have an opportunity here in this public forum to see where the rubber meets the road as they review this project and they weigh the potential incentives that would be put forth in this project, and then also the associated potential benefits as it relates to employment and tax base in our town. At this time, I'm going to introduce our board of directors by roll call and open our special meeting and public hearing. So board members, if you are muted, can you please unmute? We have Cameron Hall.
Present.
Bob Hutchison.
Here.
Janet McGregor-Plar.
Here.
Mayor Thomas Moses.
Here.
Chairman Andrew Palmer. Chairman Palmer. He was there, he may be muted, we'll come back.
Yeah, sorry about that, Sean. Stupid
Okay.
mute button. I'm here.
Bob Reynolds.
Present.
Norma Russer Kelly.
Here.
Wencelco Valentin.
Wenceslav Valentin III, present.
Thank you, sir. Motion to open the January 22nd, 2001 Hamburg IDA Board of Directors and special public hearing meeting at 7:39 a.m.
So
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Just on the
David?
question, Sean.
What was the second on that, Sean?
I
Pardon me.
second it.
And I
Second.
didn't address Davis. Is Davis on the call?
Yes.
I am.
On the question,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
on the question, I just, the fact that we're having a public hearing meeting at 7:30 in the morning, when this is a big project. And a lot of people reached out to me, about the time frame. So I just want that in the minutes that, the fact that it's 7:30 in the morning and most people are at work, that's an issue for some people that have reached out to me.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. The project information, as I roll through this, Bayview Road Associates LLC, the lessee, has entered into negotiations with officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, also known as the agency, with respect to the construction and equipping by the agency through a lease with mortgage or lease-only transaction of a commercial warehouse and distribution facility on a 557.914 acre parcel of land located at the corner of Lakeshore and Bayview Roads, already owned by the lessee in Hamburg, New York, and the construction of an approximately 181,500 square foot office building therein. The lessee, as agent for the agency, for lease by the lessee to the agency, for lease back by the agency to the lessee for sublease to Amazon.com services, the sublessee, who will be the sole occupant of this facility for the provision of a warehousing and distribution facility, also known as the project. This public notice was posted in the Hamburg Sun on January 15th, 2021. Okay, so there was some legal jargon involved with this. Please bear with me. I'm going to roll out some of the details of this project and try to break it down in more understandable and digestible terms and really boil down to what the proposed incentives are for this local developer and national tenant, and also what the proposed benefits would be to the town of Hamburg and our surrounding communities. So the general project information: Walden Development Group, a development company based out of Elma, New York, is in lease negotiations with Amazon.com services. The negotiations are to construct a build-to-suit warehouse and distribution facility. This facility would serve Amazon customers in the southern tier of Western New York. The constructor, general contractor, is Bergio Campo Felice Construction. They are a local, women-owned and related affiliate of Walden Development Group. They would be the general contractor on this project. Investment information. So this investment is composed of the acquisition of this land, which is listed at $1 million, $38 million in new construction, $1.2 million in soft costs, $5 million in tenant build-out. So this is essentially the expense beyond the core and shell of the building that Amazon would be using to fit out to their specific use. Other costs, legal fees, there would be some interim financing fees. And so that total project is $47.2 million. Someone had asked on the call, the GC is Bergio Campo Felice. This would result in a proposed, this is an estimated valuation from the assessor, a proposed estimate valuation of $5.6 million. So this would essentially be the taxable value of this parcel after construction, following the equalization rate. So essentially a market value, depending upon the equalization rate, of about $11.2 million. Oops, sorry about that. Go to our next slide. What's going on with this land currently? This land is vacant land, raw green space that has been, at one time was owned by Bethlehem Steel and then an ownership entity called Tecumseh Redevelopment. Best we can understand, at one point it may have been used for housing, but largely it has been or underdeveloped in the town. This is appropriately zoned for this project. It is M3 zone within the pre-permit special district. So as we review this project, the developer has achieved the site plan approval status through the town. Our comments as we review this project should be focused on the specifics of the abatement and the job creation. With the incentive, as you would apply it, and we will drill down on this further, the first year taxes after construction would be roughly $28,500. In addition to that, special districts. In a pilot, a property tax abatement program, if it would be deemed to be applied in this situation, special districts are not abated. They are not discounted. So your water and sewer fees, your fire district fees for Woodlawn, your town highway tax, your library tax, those are maintained at the full assessed value. As you can see, we're realizing no gain for the town at its current state. If developed, we would realize the $28,500 in taxes, $72,500 in special district. The total value of this pilot, the abated amount that the developer would be required to pay to the town of Hamburg, the Frontier School District, and Erie County would be $599,725. That is over 10 years, not including your special district taxes. In year 11, the abatement would expire. They would be charged their full assessed value. Based on current tax rates of this year, they would be facing a tax levy of $358,060, again, over the town, county, and school taxing jurisdictions. Before we get into the employment information, I just want to dive into this a little bit further.
Sean?
Understand the abatement. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. On
No,
that,
that's okay.
you have a schedule going through that year 1 through 10 and what each entity would be receiving?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
If you can see my screen, I have an Excel sheet here, and I'll show it in two regards. This provides a little bit more detail than the standard application form does. So I want to identify this and try to read through it as best as I can for people on that don't have the ability to view it. You're welcome, Janet. So this essentially talks to the discount amount, the pilot payment. So year 1, this is a standard 10-year pilot, and soon I will talk about why we are looking at a 10-year pilot for this project. $28,000 and change that they would pay their first and second year, again, based on current taxes. As you see, as time elapses, the pilot amount increases, their discount decreases, until finally at year 11, they would pay a full assessed value. The discount amount is reported in this column. The discount amount overall for this 10-year period is $2,200,256. So essentially, you're looking at a $225,000 discount or incentive to this company to develop in this area.
Are you showing that screen?
Yes, I am.
I'm still seeing the investment
Oh, I'm
and
too.
sorry.
tax
Yeah, I think-
information screen.
I think there's a sharing issue, Sean.
There we are, sir. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
So this is your discount amount between the county, town, and school taxes. This project, based on current tax rates, so this is on a low end, is receiving a $2.25 million incentive over 10 years. The pilot, as you continue on, is represented in the county, town, and school fashion. These are the payments. These are the payment amounts that the developer would pay into the taxing jurisdictions. The total payment, represented in column J, is the tax with the special districts. So the pilot amount plus the special districts will render the town over the 10 years of the abatement period, $1.7 million, roughly.
So Sean, as I'm looking at this, and I'm looking where it says school pilot, right? Is that the amount of taxes that they're not paying to the schools, or is that the amount of tax that they will be paying to the schools?
That's the amount of taxes they are paying to the school. So they would be foregoing, they're paying only 10% in year one of their required school tax on it based at full assessed value. So
And that's
overall,
the same for the town and the county.
correct. Correct. That is what they're paying. That's not what they're foregoing. The total discount that they are foregoing is $257,000. So I can take this for you and just, this is a good question that people may have. If I take $257,024 and on a percentage basis, our town, county, and school taxes are $50, roughly $51. It's 50.997. If I take 58% of that, which is the school share, the school district would be foregoing in a discount $149,073. So this is very clear data. Again, based on current tax rates, we can't predict where tax rates will be in the future, that identifies and was presented to the board if this project would receive an abatement, what the discounts would be. A 10-year pilot. We have in Erie County, in coordination with all the IDAs, a uniform tax exemption policy. This is a standard guideline for how to weigh projects and associated abatements. So there are pilots that are less generous than this project. There are pilots that are more generous than this project. This pilot was determined to be relevant based on an incentive matrix. So essentially there's a point scale that weighs the amount of investment, the amount of job creation, the amount of pay for these jobs, which we will talk about soon, and weighs all these material factors and makes a determination as to where they should be and on a level of incentive to make this project happen. So these measures that apply these pilots are not arbitrary in any means. They're
Hey,
well
Sean, this
thought
is
out.
Andy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just want to clarify that way of assessing what kind of pilot a project gets is uniform across Erie County. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a
So if
uniform
a project
tax
is
exemption.
in Tonawanda, if it's in Lancaster, or if it's in Hamburg, it's the same process. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
It's the same process where, does that formula dictate what you have to do? Or does your agency have discretion?
We have discretion.
Okay,
Based
so
upon-
even though it's the same policy, it's not dictating what you do. It's not dictating you give a 10-year pilot. You could give a 7-year pilot or a 5-year pilot if you chose.
Correct.
Okay, just
We would-
clear. I
we
have
would
one more
file a
question.
deviation request.
How much money would the Frontier Central School District get over 10 years without a pilot?
If no pilot would be applied, the payment would be, let's see here, in 11, based on current taxes, they would get, with no pilot applied, $165,880.30.
Over the 10-year period?
No, that is, Sean, that's annually, if the project would ensue.
So how much would Frontier get over 10 years?
It would, with no abatement, it would be $1.65 million.
And how much are they going to get instead?
With the abatement, they are getting $348,348.64.
Thanks for that clarification. So Frontier school kids will be getting $348,000 as opposed to 1.6 under this pilot.
Correct.
1.6 million.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And to further that, if the project would not ensue, the Frontier School District would get $0 as this parcel stands today.
Got it.
Good point.
Next, I'm going to go to, we're getting through this. I hope this is helpful. I appreciate everyone's patience here. The employment information as it associated with this project. A little bit of background again. With a pilot, an employer, it goes into an obligation. It's called a project agent agreement. So this development would be required, if they choose to continue to receive this abatement, to provide some material items to the town of Hamburg. One is the real property investment that we talked about. The second major material item is the employment. So if this project would ensue with the incentive, there would be 5 management positions created, and you can see the associated fringe rates of $12,000 to $18,000. There are 45 full-time production positions in a wage rate of $15 an hour, with fringe of $3 to $4.50 an hour. There are 50 part-time production positions with a $15 wage, a fringe of $3 to $4.50 an hour. Estimated annual salary of full-time positions is $31,000. So on average, the wage payments for this project annually at its minimal level, if they meet the minimum matrix and they have no third-party work, they have no construction jobs, are not factored into this, we're looking at $2.47 million of wage investment in the community. So you are foregoing roughly $225,000 of taxes among the jurisdictions, and you are receiving $2.47 million of wage payments into the community.
Hey, Sean, where can you live in Hamburg off of $31,000? Just curious.
I can get into a little of that because I did have that question. So let's dive into that. We'll start with Department of Labor information that talks about the climate, the job climate in Western New York and Erie County in particular, and then we'll get into that question because that's certainly been brought up by our board, and I was charged to look into that. So Employment climate in Erie County. This is Department of Labor data from November 2020. We've lost 48,200 private sector jobs in our region. We all know what's going on here. We've talked about it numerous times. The pandemic has had a very real and significant effect on the world, not just Hamburg, New York, and Erie County. The leading sectors of job loss are in leisure and hospitality. We've lost 16,200 jobs. In trade, transportation, and utilities, that's the second most leading sector that make up this 48,000 job loss count. In that sector, we've lost 13,700 jobs. Average annual total wages in Erie County for warehousing and storage jobs in 2019 are $34,815. And, you know, I'll reflect back because the number to compare that to is the 31,000 of the average wage that Amazon is committing to in their minimum payment in the IDA agreement. In the accommodation, hospitality, food services sector, average wages are $19,626. Our job force, as I work with agencies like Invest Buffalo, Niagara, and Mike Colfort among the IDAs in and throughout the state, we are at a deficit. We have 15,600 workers out of the workforce here. In Western New York, the unemployment rate is up 1.6% in November 2020 compared to November 2019. The employment rate in November 2020 was 5.9%. So that's some employment data. Now, as I go into, I have a lot of data here, so please bear with me because I wanted to try to answer as many questions as possible. But we want to get back to Wentz's question about housing. You know, can these people afford to live in the town where they work? That's a valid concern. We want this project to contribute to the community and not to be a detriment. Please bear with me, a lot of information. This is hard copy information. It was essentially raw data that was put forth by the Census Bureau. This is old data. This is from 2000, but in 2000, this was from the census. We had 56,259 people. We're looking at a household median income of $47,888. Of that, males accounted for median wages of $41,440. Females accounted for $27,602. Per capita income, total income divided by total population, was $21,943. So again, this data is old. However, it gives you a sense of ideally where some market data is. More real data that you can look at is through the town of Hamburg has a great community development department that provides inclusionary zoning, provides first-time home buyer programs. If you, as a household of two people, if you make an excess of $49,700 as a household of two people, you cannot participate in those programs. So we have an opportunity to create some jobs. We have a framework established here that will allow people that are at an economic disadvantage at this time an opportunity to actually raise their wages from this 19,000, get into a higher wage bracket, benefits from some other supported services in the town of Hamburg that are federally funded, and really improve their quality of life. So that's what we're looking at here, you know, and as I would see an average person coming into this role, being able to operate and establish and live a life in Hamburg.
So you're suggesting that these people work for an average of 31,000, and then they take advantage of some programs through the government to supplement their income so that they can live in Hamburg, or make sure that both the husband and wife work so that they could live here. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything, but what I see is a labor market that is depressed. I see a region that is very poor and could certainly use every ounce of investment it can get and every opportunity to take progress and take a step forward that it can. These jobs, as I would envision them, are people who maybe don't have the best education, maybe they've had some trouble, and they want to work to better their lives. They want to work for their family. This poses a great opportunity. If people have education, if people have a track record, there are management and full-time positions here that will certainly benefit people. There's going to be associated spin-off, as ideally these people live and work in Erie County and spend money in Erie County. So that's where I see it. Based on the wage in the market, that's where the wages are coming in, and I see an underserved market that could certainly benefit from these jobs coming into Hamburg. So what I'm going to do now is go to the chat screen.
To go back to the wages for a quick second.
Sure.
I mean, that's a tough wage, to live in Hamburg. I understand that, we lost jobs in hospitality, some of the lowest paying sectors of our economy, but we're not replacing these with middle-class jobs. A hard time visioning buying a house and keeping a roof on your house in Hamburg at $31,000 a year. Generally with public subsidies, we like to, adhere to what we call high road economic principles, where we're bringing in jobs that pay more than the average wage, not less than the average wage. I recently went online to look at what Home Depot is paying, and Home Depot is starting people at $15 an hour. And I don't think anyone has illusions that Home Depot sales associates are raising families, in Hamburg. And I would also note that, the Empire State Development Corporation, state won't subsidize these types of warehouse jobs, because we think these jobs are going to occur in the community with or without subsidization, because they're needed to move product around. If you're going to sell product in Western New York, you have to build a warehouse facility. So why would we subsidize that? And there, something that rubs me the wrong way is that, we're going to subsidize these jobs that come into Hamburg, and then tell the people who work full-time jobs, you need a federal subsidy for your housing. Boy, that's just not the kind of Hamburg that I'm looking to build.
Well, actually, like I said, if you have, and let me look back to that data just to kind of make it even more real. A family of 4 trying to get into these programs. So assuming both parents work, which is very common, and making this wage, the family of 4 eligibility based on federal housing is $62,100. So assuming there are bonus payments, that for working holidays, for, these jobs are maintained. Amazon is working. They're rewarding their employees for the job that they do. These people are not commodities. These are people. But assuming they're making that bare bottom low end and both people are working, which is very often the case in present day society. They're not eligible for these programs.
That is very generous, especially when we consider that half of the positions are definitionally part-time.
Who was just speaking?
Oh, my apologies. Matt Kent, Foundation for Fair Contracting.
Okay.
So let me back up a little bit. So this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at this opportunity, these wages, this package. The board has worked very diligently here. And at this point, this is where we are reaching out to you in the public to, achieve some input and some guidance, because these people, like I said, they're volunteers. We meet at 7:30 in the morning because these people have jobs. These people are representing these taxing jurisdictions. They have obligations to the board, the town board, the school board. So they're busy, they're volunteers. They understand the value of a tax dollar here. So they have a lot to weigh, and your input is important. So
Sean.
Yes, sir.
Sean.
Yes. Yeah.
No, Bob Reynolds here, board
Hey, Bob.
member. Hello, Senator. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, Sean, I just want to touch on the fact that as the board reviewed this and we talked about wages and stuff, if they had paid a higher wage, what would happen if they went up to $20 an hour and started paying a high $20 an hour wage? What would they qualify for on the IDA loan tax breaks?
That would go back to the incentive matrix. So if they would pay a higher rate, they would be eligible. They would get more weighting points and potentially be eligible for more abatement. A 15-year pilot. So, we've worked with other potential developments, and we've been looking at 15 years. We've been looking at more. We've been looking at less for other projects that didn't have the significant amount of job creation. And this is where they lay. So you're correct in that statement that if there be more wages associated with an IDA project, there would potentially be more intern benefits associated with that project.
And again, I'm not here to get into a full discussion with everybody on this. But when I was a legislator, we had 15-year projects. We had 5-year projects that came before us. Obviously, this board has a choice. Do we approve this 10-year project, or do we look at other types of incentives if possible? But that's a negotiation that would have to go on after we make a decision on this 10-year project, because that's what they applied for. And I just want to keep that in everybody's idea. This is for the town of Hamburg to bring 100 jobs into our town. These jobs can go anywhere, as Senator, as you well know, and I know, they can go anywhere in this community if they choose to build so. They came to Hamburg. We have a process with our IDA to bring things to the board of the Hamburg IDA for tax abatements. Just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. All right, thank you.
My question is,
Mr. Doyle?
I'm folks, let me address people as they have in the chat first, and then let's go back, and then we're not going to close until everybody has an opportunity to comment. I want to reiterate that this is important to comment so the board can take this in and digest this and let this weigh in on their decision-making process.
so Sean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I got a question. I actually got a ton of questions, but there was a recent project in Tonawanda for Amazon. And to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't get any tax incentives to build their similar building in Tonawanda, New York. Is that true?
To the best of my knowledge, it is true.
So this company they made 96.1 million just in the third quarter in 2020, right?
Can I ask, are we getting in line on chat, or are we just jumping in?
I'm a board member. Do I not have the
cut
right to
off.
talk?
I'm a board member as well, and I got cut off, so I'm just asking.
Oh, I don't know. You cut me off, so I guess you can go ahead. I'll wait.
I've signed up on chat. Thank you.
let's address, just to clarify the procedure, let's address this as, and allow the public to have the appropriate forum, because the board in the meeting, if we, weigh in on, if this goes on the agenda and we weigh in on a resolution of benefits, the board will have time to discuss it further. So I think it's important now to open it up to the public. The first person who had commented, please forgive me if I misstate your name. Yomo Okono
Yes,
with the Carpenters Local.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for opening up with the comment. In a slightly different direction, I didn't see it on the your chart yet, but we were also concerned with the workers who will be building this project, and just from past experience, I think it's important we have various standards. So much local money being spent inside the package. I think that we should secure the right of local workers having area standard. The prevailing wage be attached to it, or what else goes with such a large incentive with over
Should have Rusty on this.
6 point something million dollars worth of incentives over the time. Just a question with that, and can we ask if it be included in this project for the construction?
Thank you for your comment. There are some representatives from the developer on. I will say that there is no legal requirement, but as a local developer, if you'd like to speak up and just talk about your process, your vendor selection process, and how you envision operating this project, I would appreciate that. One thing is, before I open it up to them, there is a local labor requirement here. This was based on a past project where outside labor was involved that typically undercuts the market. So this project, like maintaining the job and investment amount, they would be required to have 90% of the labor from the 8 counties of Western New York.
And that's something that's enforceable, or that's just a goal?
No, that's a minimum. So, they are required to minimally 80% of the labor on this project. Let me jump back in that PowerPoint. So we're looking at an estimate of 256 temporary construction jobs. I believe sorry, I don't have let me refer back to the application. But I believe the hard cost of construction was, I believe, $15 million. I'm sorry, the hard cost of construction was $38 million. Of that, they were estimating $15.2 million in material.
Yes, so the question was it going to be enforceable, or was it just a goal? Because sometimes people say, yeah, we want to have these goals, and then when they don't use the local people, no one ever says anything or does anything. Just trying to look out this from the aspect as in jobs, for permanent jobs, even with construction, we find that happens a lot. So we're trying to, ascertain how committed are they to helping the local workers.
No, and to clarify that, it's a minimum. So they are, and it's not a guideline, it's a requirement. Certainly, they understand the value and the skill set in construction. This is not, a 3,000 to 5,000 square foot building, okay? I've worked in the industry. I know the trades and the providers in our region that drive these projects and construct these projects in a safe and reliable manner. So they are in no obligation to open up to prevailing wage or union labor, but conventional wisdom would make one think that with such a large scale project, if we can get more projects like this into Western New York, it's going to be great, not only for the job base, but for our construction base and our skilled trades as well. Next, we have Jeff Brilski. Jeff, would you please speak when you get an opportunity to unmute?
Good morning, everybody. I have submitted a written comment, Sean, and I assume that you shared with the directors. I'm just going to read part of that into the record. My wife and I are brothers and sisters, and all of our children have been or currently are graduates or students in the Frontier School District. I understand the desire for increased tax revenue for the school district. On and off for the past 25 years, I've served as a coach and or as a member of the board of directors for CSRA or Lakeshore Little League. So I understand the importance of the financial stability of the town means to the relationship between the town and these types of youth organizations. I've also had the distinct honor of serving as a member of the board of directors for the HIDA. So I also understand why a project like this would be so beneficial to the agency. My main goal as a member of the board, parallel division statement of the IDA, foster opportunity for people to create meaningful lives for themselves. This is achieved by attracting projects and employers who provide purposeful employment for members of the community. The jobs projected to be created by this project do not meet the standards set forth by the HIDA vision statement. These potential jobs will not support a family who desire to achieve the American dream of living in the town of Hamburg. Further complicating the issue is the fact that Amazon competes directly with UPS, who has a starting wage rate for drivers of $21.91 per hour and provides fully paid health care, makes pension contributions for all blue-collar employees. The town of Hamburg currently has approximately 52 blue-collar employees living here, some of whom are still living with their parents, but most of whom own their own homes and pay taxes. All of them, though, they contribute to the success of the town of Hamburg. This doesn't even count the number of white-collar and retiree UPS employees living in the town. Any tax incentive to provided to Amazon or to the developer to build a facility in the town without guaranteeing jobs that could sustain living in the town would create a serve us but don't live amongst us perception. It's also harmful to the current taxpayer that Amazon competes with. Again, like Wentz said before, ask yourself, how many of your neighbors work for Amazon, or if you could buy a house next door to you earning just $15 per hour or $31,000 per year. Additionally, do these $15 an hour jobs justify a 10-year tax break? Right now, Amazon is delivering packages to the South Towns from an existing facility, which leads me to believe that some of these jobs will be moved from one location to the town of Hamburg. This is not what these tax incentives are intended for. This is merely another corporate cash grab at the community's expense. I want to add too that right now the town of Hamburg is building houses in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. So whether it's $15 an hour or $20 an hour, people cannot simply afford to live in the town of Hamburg. I don't think these IDAs were intended to bring these types of jobs in for a company that can certainly afford to build this project without any incentives. The fact that Amazon is entering into a 10-year lease with the owner of the property doesn't guarantee that in year 11 that $358,000 taxes will be paid to the town of Hamburg. They could leave, pick up and leave and move to the next town where we create a race to the bottom, a program moving these jobs from one location to another. So I would respectfully ask the board of directors to take all of this into consideration. Further, the local hiring plan does not include a project labor agreement, which I think would be very important to have in a project of this manner. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd just like to know, Jeff, if it didn't come across that Jeff was a board member of the IDA for some time, also one of the people that does take a lot of time. This is a big commitment that these volunteers make to participate here and give back to the community. In addition, we will have the written comments available on our website, but Jeff, it's up to you if you would like me to add or remove, but Jeff did provide a list of employees or retirees and their addresses. So, you know, I just want to state that also.
Sean,
Yeah,
that was just for the board, for their, you know,
Okay.
for their eyes only, okay? Just to see where they live and the neighbors that do own homes in the town of Hamburg and live amongst them. So if you want to post my comment, that's fantastic. If you can extract the names though, I would appreciate that as well. Thank you, Sean.
I will do that, but that was an important ad and a good ad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have NRG Block, Marty.
Hi, I did. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I just, I'm coming from a different perspective. I'm a green building advocate, and I'd like to see the developers take advantage of the newly signed PACE legislation, and that enables them to finance energy efficiency upgrades through the property tax assessments. So investing in energy efficiency upgrades creates a more valuable building at a minimum cost, and one whose value increases as energy prices rise. So you have energy efficiency upgrades that pay for themselves over time. And as an example, adding, say, $3 per square foot of wall in energy efficiency upgrades to a building this size could cost as little as $70,000, but save $50,000 a year in energy cost reductions. So these are, and also there are locally produced energy efficient building components, not just my NRG block, but there are solar, geothermal, wind, micro wind turbines produced locally and whose installation can create green jobs. So this project it looks like a great project, because what we can do here in Western New York is show people how to build a zero energy ready distribution facility and have this be the model for other communities to follow. So regardless of the types of jobs created, you're creating a building that is ready to use zero energy or be positive energy supported. So that's what thanks.
Thank you, Marty. And I did receive your comments that reflect this, so I appreciate that as well. I'm sorry, that's my position here. Next, Mary, at a point you couldn't see the screen. I hope you're okay now, and just let me know if you'd like to comment. Matt Kent, you had some questions about, and this may have been answered, but I just want to address it while we're on you, regarding the taxes that are foregone and the breakout. Do you need that reviewed again? Would you like
Those were answered.
Clarification? Okay, thank you, Matt. Carol had asked, are these new positions? These would be new positions created. So these are new jobs in the area. I don't know if this is Carol Gillette. Carol, I was going to review your email as we continue on with the written comments, but you're welcome to speak now if you'd like to offer anything in advance or instead of that. Okay. Mary Wall, you had a question of Amazon profits in 2020. So we can put that to the board. Honestly, I don't know. I know it's a publicly traded company, so I could offer that, but I don't know about the profits.
Sean, I looked up the
go
profits.
ahead,
There was
Wayne.
96.1 million just in the third quarter of 2020.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if you can offer any data as to how that's broken out.
Sean, this is Andy. Can we just go along with the typed in messages so we don't
Sure.
waste their time, and then we can comment, obviously, later?
Okay, great. One thing I just wanted to offer is, one thing that weighs in on us as we make decisions is stability of this company. What's the stability? We're foregoing something for 10 years. As a board, we're taking a risk here. Is this company worth it? Is this company going to grow and succeed, maybe continue and expand their investment? Well, with that, profit rate, hopefully, yes. And next we have Janet Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. I'm very concerned with the wage rates that are being offered or shown as they will be offered. We all know that New York State will be at a minimum wage of $15 an hour sooner rather than later. So basically, we're looking at minimum wage jobs. Secondly, I have no problem with this property being developed. It's long overdue. Currently, that property is contributing $0.0 to all taxing entities in special districts. Being a former school board member, I know how important it is to have a local source of revenue. But a project like this does not bring children into school buildings. So something rather than nothing, I'll take. I would make a recommendation, and I know that we are supposed to act on this at our meeting on Tuesday. I would recommend that although we have COVID, there's got to be an auditorium or facility somewhere within the town of Hamburg where we could have a true public hearing, socially distanced, masks required, so people could come out and really see the project. It's a little tough for somebody sitting looking at their laptop, or a lot of people are just looking at their tablet or their phone to get the slides and be able to really go through them. And then the only big question I would have for the developer, who I know is local and is well respected, just, what labor is going to be used? Do we have those contracts ready to go and signed? Because it is of the utmost importance that we, in those 256 temporary construction jobs, employ people, local people. And that's all I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Janet. I'm actually looking into the particulars of if we can get an in-person meeting going. So please stay tuned with that. Next, I have Gary Swain. Gary, you're welcome to speak if you like, or I can read your comment.
If you don't mind, Sean, I'll talk for just a couple of minutes. Try not to take too much of your time.
No, not at all. Take as much time as you need.
All right. First, let me say, let me introduce myself. I'm Gary Swain. I'm the business manager of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 17. We have our office over here on Versailles Road in Lakeview. We also operate a training facility across the street on Pleasant Avenue. We're located directly behind Wanaka Country Club. We're nestled in here at about 400 acres, which gives all of our residents plenty of room to not hear all the noise that we make running heavy equipment on an every day, Monday through Friday basis. So, Sean, first, let me say thank you. The information that you provided was very good. I think half the questions that I had, you already covered by giving us all the information on taxes and everything else. And I do understand the difficult position that the IDA board finds themselves in with trying to make a decision based on the whole picture that they have to look at. So my comment in the chat room section, I have I guess I have a little issue with the local labor policy. Upon hearing that you had a local labor policy with the requirements that you had, I was initially kind of enlightened by that, going, all right, these guys are really, they're really holding developers' feet to the fire. But after reading it, I kind of have an issue with, there's a section called local labor requirement, and it's section number 4 under that, that says significant cost differentials and bids whereby use of local labor significantly increases the cost of the project, would be a waiver of the local labor hire in construction jobs. So my first thought is, in the comment that I wrote, if a developer can find a contractor to do the work a lot cheaper based on the backs of the workers, so how little we can pay the workers, then they're going to get a waiver to not use local people. Quite honestly, us in the building trades, it's one of the things that we fight all the time with trying to push for minimum wage. The increases in minimum wage, the expansion of prevailing wage, so that everybody has to pay their workers the same amount of money in wages and benefits, so that project costs come in based on the contractor's skill and ability to finish a product and their efficiency to get the job done on time, rather than finding a whole bunch of people that will work for pennies on the dollar and getting the project done based on the backs of the workers and how little you can pay them. So that would be one of my biggest concerns with your local labor policy. And maybe in the future you look at that and maybe do something about that, because quite honestly, to say that you have to use workers to build this project from Erie County and the surrounding counties, like I said, I think that's really good, and I applaud you for adding something like that to your projects. But in the same verbiage, giving them a way out because they found a contractor that can pay considerably less wages to do a project. I was around when the neighbor built FedEx right next door, and our contractors were beat up. I can't tell you how many times with numbers that they submitted on that project. And they finally just gave up and said, look, we cannot move dirt for that little amount of money. And they brought in workers from someplace else to move dirt for pennies on the dollar. And they didn't use local labor or local unionized labor for that matter. So I would ask that you would consider that in your decision making, because I know you have a lot of things to consider when you make those decisions. Those are my concerns. And I understand the whole, competing with UPS, and I chime in with the Teamsters when they're a little concerned about that as well. But I'll leave that fight for them. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Certainly the intent here is if something would not be available. So I appreciate you bringing that to light. I think it's something that we can even potentially address on this project and provide some clarity and essentially more teeth to that requirement, and then look to refine that policy going forward. So I do appreciate your comments. Wentz, I have you next. You have the floor.
First of all, let me apologize. I did not realize that we had to go to chat to comment. Plus, I'm on my cell phone, so it took a while for me to find that. So now that I have the floor, I have a number of issues, and I don't want to stay here forever and talk. But my issues with the workers of Amazon have been said that they feel like they're robots, right? And $15 an hour is just not a living wage. This company made $96.1 million in one quarter. That's almost 400 million a year. And it's frustrating to me that they're even coming to us asking for a tax break. I would ask that if they do build, that they provide union neutrality so that we could unionize the workforce and that they can have a real voice and they could fight for themselves and they could decide what they would want in a contract or for wages. So that's one of my concerns. A lot of people have brought up really good points. I started off in the building trades for Local 71 as a sheet metal worker. I'm a union sheet metal worker now at General Motors. I'd love to see my brothers and sisters putting up this building. I'd love to see a project labor agreement, but since we already sold it to, to Walden Development, I understand that, we can't do that. But I appreciate everyone's time. I know a lot of people are giving of themselves. And Sean, you put a lot of work into this. And I think you did a great job putting this all together. And I appreciate your time. So if I differ in opinions from you, I don't want you to take it personally because I think you've done a great job putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Wentz. James Maltby had a question. Would you like me to read it or has it been answered? Would you like to address the public at this time?
Yeah, I can, just a quick address. I'm a union insulator. I live in the town of Hamburg. My questions were mostly answered. Also, with the livable wage of the workers on the, on the project once it's completed, but also the wages on the construction of this project. Like I think Gary Swain kind of covered a lot of those, but what about apprenticeship language? Are we going to use any apprenticeship language tied to this IDA money? I think that would maybe be helpful. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Sean, Ryan, you had a comment on the median household income. Do you want to comment to that? I think we do need to look into that because I have a number. The project is in Blaisdell, stating median income in 2018 was 48.9. I think we need to get some clarity in front of the board and try to get more up-to-date data from good sources. So if you have a source on that,
it's the census.
Okay.
So, but have you been using Blaisdell data this whole time, Sean, and not Hamburg data?
Sean, the data that I had, as I stated, was old data. So it was from 2000, but it was Hamburg.
Oh, 20-year-old data you were using.
Correct.
Oh, well, the current data is probably better. So I have general comments. Is this the time for that?
Yes, you're welcome. Please do.
So I agree with, well, first of all, thank you to all the board members, for your time. I met with some of you, this summer when I came and visited your office. I agree with Janet. I would like to see this land developed, but I also want to, remind us that we only get one shot at this. I think we can do better, and I think we have to do better. I don't think anyone's really under an illusion that a $15 an hour Amazon worker is going to be moving into Hamburg and buying a household. We talk about this creating jobs. The reason that we don't subsidize these warehouse jobs is Amazon's putting last mile facilities all over America because it fits their business plan. Much like UPS puts a facility on Dingeon Street because they need that to make their deliveries. So this isn't anything new. This is to support a current business model. When I close my eyes and I see that land, I think of the Moog facility in Elma and how everyone who works in that facility can afford a house in Elma or could afford a house in Hamburg. So, I would encourage us to scrap this project and to really focus on trying to bring in a high wage employer into Hamburg. Because, let's face it, that's what we need in Hamburg. I mean, looking at this nearly $80,000, average wage in Hamburg, the idea that we're going to spend money to bring $31,000 a year jobs in, half of whom are part-time. I mean, go down to McKinley in Milestrip. There's $15 jobs all over that intersection. And we didn't give tax subsidies. So, I just think we can do a lot better. I know there's this sort of rush is that property's been sitting there. Oh my gosh, we need to do something, but we need to get it right. And I think it's super important that we get it right, because we're not going to have another chance at this. And I have a few sort of areas of concern in general. One is the timing of the public hearing. I know it's a volunteer board. You meet at 7:30 conventionally. Nobody who's representing the public, like you guys are a public entity, is doing 7:30 hearings. There's all sorts of reasons for that. So if you want to stick to a 7:30, please do one after work also. And I agree with Janet. I think, an in-person where people can see these charts and we can have updated wage information is important. But, going over this cost of the pilot, it's a lot of money. The sales tax exemption, the pilot, but it's $435,000 less coming to Erie County to support our parks, our road, our construction fund, $373,000 less coming to the town of Hamburg, $343,000 less coming to the village of Hamburg and the village of Blaisdell, $1.1 million less coming to school districts. And then, we're also waiving the Erie County taxes, which are to be spread all over all the towns and villages in Erie County. And I also represent Tonawanda. And less than 36 months ago, Amazon built a cookie cutter facility, another last mile distribution facility in Tonawanda. And guess how much tax benefits they received for that project? Zero. And they're employing a heck of a lot more people than is being agreed to on this project. So in that project, Tonawanda didn't wait 10 years to get the taxes. Tonawanda School District immediately saw the benefit of these. So, and not even going on to Amazon, because, God bless you, Wentz, but you're lowballing their quarterly profit. Their net income was $17.3 billion. Their income went up 53% in 1 year. So it just really begs the question of why we're doing this. Amazon needs a new facility, and they're going to build it, just like they built the one in Tonawanda. So I would really ask us to think if this is Hamburg's long-term strategy, is to be providing jobs that pay $15 an hour, which Janet was correct. The state minimum wage will soon be $15 an hour. Is this how we want to build our town forward? When I go speak to the Frontier students and the Hamburg students, do we tell them that part of their bright future will be working for $15 an hour in Hamburg? And will we tell them they can actually live in Hamburg on that? So I think we need to think long and hard before we're doling out over $4 million of public money. So many people on this call have been to my office and said, my village needs more money. My fire department needs more money. My school district needs more money. And yet we're going to do this massive waiver. Think about Tonawanda. Tonawanda got all the money that you guys are projected to waive away, and they got it year one. So I would say let's think long and hard. Is this the best use for this land? is this the best use to set Hamburg up on a future to be an above average wage community and not a below average wage community? And, you know, I will stand with you and I will work with you to try to get high wage workers into Hamburg, because that's what we need to make a better Hamburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Next, I have Matt Kent. Matt, you can speak if you like.
I do, much appreciated. Appreciate the opportunity to join everyone here today. My name is Matt Kent. I am the director of the New York Foundation for Fair Contracting. We are a watchdog nonprofit monitoring construction industry, trying to ensure a level playing field that rewards responsible contractors, public entities, and taxpayers who support the whole operation. I genuinely appreciate the time and commitment of everyone on the Hamburg IDA and the entire community coming together today, although I will share some of the concern about whether or not the full community is able to join. I would just like to offer, I myself am a proud graduate of Hamburg High School, class of 2004, a hometown boy, very much trying to make sure that the good times continue to flow and that the community that made my happy, successful life possible continues to prosper and flourish. And towards that, I have a couple of points related to the contracting of any projects resulting from that. That's kind of our wheelhouse. But I did just want to preemptively echo, I suppose, the concern that Councilwoman Hoke brought up regarding possible additional public hearings, providing public opportunity to engage. One of the things that had struck me was the timing for these public hearings. My understanding is the rules and regulations governing the timelines for these, if I'm not mistaken, is governed by New York State General Municipal Law, Section 859A, which does provide a 10-day advance notice, both for relevant public officials, but additionally the public. Here on January 22nd, I couldn't help but hear the director say that this was a notice published in the Hamburg Sun 7 days ago. And my apologies if that is incorrect. Not trying to put anyone on blast here, but that as an organization committed to seeing the rules executed and followed, that was something I wanted to comment on. The main thing I did want to bring to the group was already touched on in good part by Gary Swain of the Operating Engineers. It is the local labor construction policy. Obviously, the board is going to be very dialed in on the permanent facility and positions and pay that is in there. But it's very hard not to see $38 million in construction costs and question what that can or can't mean for our community. We have noted that there is a local labor policy that governs the Hamburg IDA supported projects. So I just very first had a quick question as to whether or not a local labor policy work certification was submitted by the applicants as part of this project.
That would be required in the closing agreements, Matt. So that has been talked to and reviewed in the negotiations. But no project, there's been no resolution on this benefit. So no associated agreements have been executed at this time.
The local labor workforce certification form is required is not required as part of application, but only if the board approves the application. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So if a project would ensue that would receive any type of benefit levied through the IDA, they would have to execute that agreement. But at this point, the developer is aware of it, has reviewed it. I've submitted it to their attorney, and they don't have comments.
So it's not that it's my apologies, and this might have just been a misunderstanding on my part. The execution of the agreement is something that follows the approval from the board, or the actual certification to say we will comply with local labor is not required until the board approves?
I'll have to look into it, to be honest. There's been no determination of benefits here. So at this time, that agreement has been reviewed, but not executed.
Okay, I guess I'm just looking for what is Hamburg policy with regards to which policies are required as part of application. My presumption, and I'm an outside individual, so I will try to be measured in second guessing. My apologies there. But let's just presume that the applicant and the co-applicant do submit this form saying they will comply with the local labor policy. I have to echo Gary Swain's concerns regarding the exemptions that the Hamburg policy does carve out. I think as Andy had noted earlier, there is a great deal of overlap between the Hamburg IDA and the Erie County IDA in policy. The uniform tax exemption policy is a mirror echo. And looking through the Erie County Industrial Development Agency's local labor policy and the Hamburg IDA policy for local labor, they are virtually one-to-one. The only thing that I can see that's different is a bonus section that provides an opportunity wherein if a bidder for construction can come in at least 25% below all the other bidders, they can get exemption from local labor. I have a very hard time seeing how this does not incentivize contractors and developers to seek out of community, out of state actors who can be paid as little as minimum wage to construct this $38 million in construction. And I appreciated your comments earlier, Sean, with regards to this is a opportunity for improvement. And it is a big blinking red sign if we are genuinely interested in investing in the community. Erie County, the local surrounding counties, not having a easy escape hatch to say, if you can pump enough value out of your workforce, we will, we'll give you the green light. So I appreciate the indulgence. I know this has been a longer period. I think appreciate everyone's indulgence, but I would encourage that there be further opportunities to have these conversations before this is put to the board for final approval, given significant outstanding unresolved issues. Many thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Matt, you did speak for Karen, but Karen, if you're still on the line, would you like to speak to just address the issue of the public hearing?
Yes, I would. Good morning, and thank you everybody for your time and work on this. I have to apologize. I'm participated in a distracted fashion as I'm getting children ready and headed to work. So I'm pulling over to participate. I think there's a lot of concerns. I share a lot of the same concerns that were voiced here, but I just wanted to touch base on providing ample opportunity to the public to give feedback on this. I haven't been able to look at the documents that were shared, so I can't speak to them. However, I think that we absolutely have to provide a better forum to get the feedback from the public. As a single mother raising children in Hamburg, I'm wondering if there are other residents that are in the same position raising families on the call that are able to make it today. So I know that with our other public hearings, whether it's the planning board, the town board, those are traditionally held at nighttime. So I would request that there's further opportunity. There's been a lot of residents that have reached out to me regarding their concern about not being able to attend and discuss these concerns. Just to throw a recommendation out there, I don't know if this is something that we could do perhaps at Hilbert College with the auditorium and do it safely in a manner that people could be distanced with seats and be able to engage and participate. And I think there needs to be further discussion when we're talking about the discrepancies on what a livable wage is for the typical family in Hamburg. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Andre Mays?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to first say thank you to everybody for allowing me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Andre Mays. I'm one of the representatives from Local 71. Good to see another Local 71 brother and Wentz on the line here. I did, before I got into my comments, I had a quick question. What's the projected construction time frame for the duration of the project?
I believe it is to be ready for occupancy early 2022.
Okay, and it's supposed to start in springtime about, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so doing, I mean, I share a lot of the same concerns as everyone else in terms of I do appreciate your time in putting this on, Sean, but I do share some of the concerns in terms of the time frame and in terms of the idea of giving massive tax breaks to the wealthiest company run by the wealthiest person in the world to come to Erie County. But in order to not, kind of belabor those points, I'll just go on with as I'm here in my official organized labor capacity and say, let's say that this project does move forward, as it likely there will be a last mile distribution center in just about every town in America at some point. But moving forward, let's say this project goes on, and if we're looking at getting 90% local labor for a project that's just doing a quick back of the envelope calculation, this should provide plenty of money for construction workers to come in and put this together under some sort of a project labor agreement. I'm if this project took 1 year to construct, we're looking at about 92,000. If I'm missing something here, I do apologize, but just doing some quick math, about $92,000 per employee for those 250 construction workers over the course of a year. And then naturally, if it takes less than a year, it's going to be a little bit more than that. If it very often falls on the organized labor sector to make sure that these thresholds for public work are being met. And the idea that somebody can come in at 25% below and skirt that is kind of alarming. But just say that we do wind up in a scenario where that is the case, we get to the 90% agreement. Project labor agreement is not only cost effective in terms of it fits in the wages of many organized workers, and even if they're not union, it would still fit very comfortably with non-union companies coming in. And when you do have organized labor on the job site, that's the easiest way to make sure you're hitting that 90% threshold, because in order to be in a local union, you have to live in that local union's jurisdiction. I know that we represent Western New York, 5 of Western New York's 8 counties. There are locals that represent all 8. And then there are locals that represent, Western New York and the Finger Lakes region and so on. I guess what I'm trying to, just to boil it down, I do think that if you really want to have local labor on this job, some sort of an agreement, since it is going to fall on organized labor to enforce it anyway, is the best route to go, since we can provide that sort of highly trained, highly skilled workforce and bring good paying jobs in the short term, at the very least, to Western New York. And then I'll finish off by saying, hopefully, in the long term, for future Amazon workers who will be working here as well. So that's it. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mary, while you had a question regarding environmental impact and how will negative impacts be offset, if you are, I do have some comments. This is more so a forum related to the investment and the abatement side of this project, but this project has gone through site plan approval, so it's been deemed in conformance with seeker in the environmental process. There is a traffic study that is available through the town on this project. So there have been engineering studies, traffic safety studies associated with it that have been reviewed. So Please speak up if you have any other questions regarding the project, and maybe I can help you to answer them.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
But I'd like to echo, the time frame. And while I appreciate people wanting to have a in-person public forum, that's certainly not safe for me. So I think we need to have more public forums at better times, but also allow for the fact that not everyone can safely be in person with other people right now, no matter how big the auditorium. Outdoors would be an option, or further online, possibly in addition to those people who feel they can safely gather. I just also have a huge problem with this much in the way of tax breaks, especially now finding out that they've been doing this kind of construction without tax breaks in our area. It's growing up here in the 80s and 90s, there was sort of this feeling that we were grateful for anything, that we were not really worth anything. And so we took whatever we could get. And at some point we have to value our own worth. And to me, giving out 90%, 80%, 70% tax cuts to a giant company that is notorious for not treating its employees well and is doing this for basically minimum wage and what will be minimum wage very soon, is not helping our local economy at all. It's not helping people who live here. And, obviously I know this is an industrial zoned area, but maybe this is for the larger town board if Karen Hoke is still listening, but the town plan is antiquated. And we need to look at the larger modifications of what construction means in various locations for the entire town in terms of environmental review. We can't keep it to such a parochial or local jurisdiction. But I don't know how many of you know people who work for minimum wage, or, right now I know people who work for under $15 an hour, and it's difficult. My dad works at a place that pays like that. They can't keep employees there because it pays too little. The only reason my dad gets to work there is because he's over, 66, and he receives Social Security to supplement the income that he gets there. These are not living wage jobs. They can't keep any young people at a job that requires lifting 50 pounds, which is terrible. Like that those jobs should not fall to, senior citizens. We need to make sure that people who are trying to raise families can afford to do so on these jobs, that they will not be cycling in and out and in and out of these jobs. We want to provide a steady income and steady way of life for people, and these jobs, 100 jobs like this won't do it. And what does full-time versus part-time mean? I also know people who work for these sorts of jobs, and full-time means 37, 38 hours a week, because you can never go to 40, because then they might have to pay you time and a half for like 30 minutes. And companies frown on that. And we've seen Amazon, they were treating their employees so badly, they were striking in other locations. Like for 100 people, that's a small amount of people to unite against a giant company. We want to make sure that they're being treated fairly so that they don't have to do that. Like this is not, thousands of jobs coming here. That's all.
Thank you. I'm sorry if you're upset by that beep. It was someone joining the meeting. Yomo, you had offered some additional information. Oh, sorry. Well, let me back up. Janet Plar, our board member, you asked if a study has been done. Did that other information that I offered help, or do you have additional questions regarding ancillary services?
No, I think seeing a list of, these are the other businesses who may benefit from this project.
Okay, that's a good question. Certainly, we had talked to the construction. The contractors that deliver packages to and from the building. I'm soon, and in the queue is someone to speak on behalf of the developer. So maybe they can elaborate a little bit further on the larger employment picture, and then, you know, obviously then we could help to envision that impact in the community as that is expanded beyond what is stated in the application. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. Yomo, you had some comments in here. Did you want to address any other thing, or was that just more for the chat, which we can certainly copy and paste to the record? Okay, I'm guessing you're good. Next, we have Guy Agostinelli, who represents the developer. He said he can answer some certain comments. So Guy, if there's things out there that you'd like to provide some clarification on, please do. I'm going to move one of our town board members to the front of the line who had emailed me in the written comments with a question about the term of the lease as it relates to the term of the abatement period. So if you could provide some clarity in that area and then beyond, that would be awesome, please.
Yes, Sean, I'm happy to do so. I'm Guy Agostinelli. I represent the developer. I have represented them for decades. And we're very excited at the developer, and we're very excited with our proposed tenant to be making such a nice investment in the Hamburg community, in excess of $40 million. And that is, it's a significant amount. And I'm sure that, you know, this is going to be a very exciting project for everyone in Hamburg and for us in the community. The one thing that did come up is the business about the lease term. And for that, while I can't get into particulars about the negotiations between the developer and Amazon, I can say that the current proposed lease term is going to be in excess of the term of the pilot agreement. And when you're thinking about, so that should deal with that particular comment. When you're thinking about the benefits of this project, I think you need to also focus on the fact that after the pilot agreement is over, you have a very, very substantial facility that's in your town that will be paying the full tax rate. And so these incentives are available that Sean has outlined very well to encourage and attract an investment such as the one that we have here. And I appreciate the comments about Tonawanda, but today, in today's world and right here and right now, we're looking at this particular project and we're looking to see if these incentives can make this project happen. That's why we have this application. In terms of the labor, let me just say one other thing in terms of the labor. We are fully apprised of the labor requirement that we have the local labor policy. Sean has reviewed that with us, and we've reviewed that with our contractor, and we fully intend to comply with that in its entirety. We're not even looking at any kind of waivers that would be applicable on this particular project. The contractor, Burgio and Campo Felice, has a very, very long history of many, many successful projects around this Western New York, and has used this local labor for virtually all of those projects. And I think that it's important based on the comments that we have heard, that, you know, we fully intend to comply with the local labor policy that Sean has reviewed with us in great length. So those were two questions that I wanted to answer. The other one deals with the timing of the project. Our current proposal or current proposed plan that's still under negotiation is to have this project online by March 1st, 2022. However, we intend to start this project in February, assuming we get a full go-ahead with all of the things that we have to do to bring this project to closure. So, you know, the sooner we start, the better off we are. And when people are talking about, putting this vote off or putting a vote off from the board to some other time period and having additional public hearings, that really would not be very helpful for our project, because we need to get going on this project. And so I want to thank everybody for all the time that they've shown today. I want to thank the agency for considering the application. And again, we're very, very excited about this project, and hopefully we can bring all the pieces together and make it work well.
Thank you, Guy. Janet, you had a comment in here regarding Evans Bank.
Oh, no, it was a point, we don't need to discuss it, but that property was offered and a proposal was made to Evans Bank to stay in Hamburg. This IDA board worked very hard and they walked away and went to Amherst for a better deal.
Thank you. Yomo Wentz provided some clarification. Wentz, did you have anything else to add at this time?
Well, I don't know if it's proper now, but, I'm wondering if I'd like to make a second motion, a motion to have a second public forum. I kind of tried to type it out in the comments. I don't know if I should do that now or I should wait, but it seems as though that the public wants to have their say. And, I want to give people to have their say for or against, this project.
Okay.
I want to hear what, what people have to say.
Yeah, I would like to continue on just to cover the participants to date. And then if the board wants to do that before we close, we can certainly table the meeting. Is that agreeable? I just don't want these people, if this time works, they've already invested, 7:30 to almost 9:30. I don't want to, put them to have to reset. So let's
I just don't want to. I don't want to be out of line. Whenever the time is right, I'd like to make that motion. All right, thank you.
Mary, you had commented to that effect. Would you like to add anything else?
No, I think I said that already. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Stokes?
Hey, Sean, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for organizing this meeting. As you know, I'm an executive director of Penn-Dixie Fossil Park, the neighbor or potential neighbor of Amazon here. And after watching the comments, I'd like to maybe sort of reframe the argument about wages from a very different perspective, a practical one. While folks were chatting, I looked up the wages for the FedEx facility, which is just across the street from where this proposed warehouse would be. They're starting folks at $15.08 an hour. Now, if Amazon opened up today, they would be paying people less than FedEx across the street. And as you know, employers have a constant challenge of recruiting and retaining good workers. So I look at this as, if we had this facility in Hamburg and we want them to be successful, right? I would hope we would. We want to make sure that they have, things in place to recruit and retain employees so they can continue their work. I could imagine as New York State minimum wage continues to increase, Amazon would have challenges, keeping their workers. They might lose them to FedEx, to retailers, even fast food. Penn-Dixie, our full-time employees, we're a small nonprofit. They make more than $31,000 an hour. In a place like Amazon, we would want their workers to be make sure they have transportation to work, that they could afford health insurance and medical. So really, as you go back to the developer, I would, encourage you to, mention that for the longevity and success of their warehouse, you want the wages to be competitive with other employers in the area.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Went, are you okay for now? I will get back to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everyone that has questions now, yeah, let them ask it. I'm not trying to stop anyone from asking questions.
Okay, thanks. Sean Ryan, you had some more questions about Evans, just to reiterate how that worked out.
I just wanted to be clear that Evans Bank had received a substantial pilot, and they're no longer in Hamburg. They moved to Amherst, where they started a brand new pilot. So this, what happens after a 10-year pilot is very speculative, as demonstrated by Evans Bank.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone have any questions at this point that is on the line?
Yes, Sean, Bob Mahoney.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
How are you? Nice to see you. Bob
Doing
Mahoney,
well.
Hamburg resident, 6619 Taylor Road. I'm also a business agent for SEIU Local 200 United. I really appreciate this. If the developers on the line, that we're bringing this project here in Hamburg. I'm also a member of the Hamburg Planning Board. And just for general clarification, there was some miscommunication put out that I just want to clarify if it hasn't been. This does not go in front of any other boards. It doesn't go in front of the planning board, the zoning board. This was considered a pre-permitted use, I believe back in 2011, where it only comes to you. I mean, I don't know if that message has been put out there. So it's had site plan approval and it's had its seeker, I believe, correct?
You are correct. And actually, it's planning and engineering and IDA that review the application and make sure it's in conformance with the pre-permitted designation.
Well, okay, that's one issue. The other issue I want to talk about the labor and the finance money. I mean, the $15 an hour, just so you're aware, I'm also a member of the City of Buffalo Living Wage Commission, and the living wage will be going up this year. And this wage at $15 won't meet that. What they used to do, they used to divide the living wage with, you got a wage, just a personal wage, and then you separated that with a benefit package for your health care. Well, they've combined them both this year, and they've come up with some numbers, and that's going to keep increasing as COLA or inflation and the CPI, Consumer Price Index. But, to draw people here in the Hamburg area, Wentz and Mr. Brilski and other people in labor have made a good point. The cost of living here in Hamburg is not the same in other areas. $31,000, and that's not even talking about what dependents you have. And they're going to spend the money, hopefully the Hamburg people, residents, where they'll spend the money here for our services here in our restaurants when we decide to open, they use our gas stations, use our markets and our shops. And so the wage, I just think, is way off where it should be. When researching with the living wage, we found that if the minimum wage would have been up to the COLA back to the beginning of the 70s, and if it would have continued per inflation, we would have been around $20 an hour now anyways. I mean, you can do the homework and do the math. So the point someone mentioned about $20 an hour, and I don't know what any of the benefit packages this corporation is going to offer. And I like the idea of bringing jobs here. That's huge. We just recently lost one down the road, the New Era. They moved out. The Koch brothers decided to move their company out for whatever their reasons were. They've got some nice breaks through the town of Evans, I believe, and they used them and they left. And a lot of people are out of work because of that. So I'm pro labor. I'd like to see a project labor agreement somehow, if that's possible. I don't know. But the wage itself, it's not sustainable here in Hamburg. I do this for a living. I work for, like I said, for SEIU 200. I negotiate contracts, and you have to be with the times and the spending. I mean, costs are going up. COVID has knocked us back an awful lot in different areas. price of gasoline, price of milk, the price of any products that we need. And you have to understand what the senator impressed on too. You drive around here, even Tim Hortons and small fast food places are offering almost $15 an hour. Well, there's no benefits. They're not full-time jobs either. So you got to put that in some respect. And some of them are starter jobs. Some of them are seniors, as I believe Ms. Wall mentioned. There's a lot of people, seniors, that have to subsidize their income because their Social Security can't take care of their utilities and that. And so that's my big concern here on the wage. I mean, $20 an hour would be, like I said, had everything gone according to COLA, whatever reasons, whether it be political or not, or whatever other standards, it's enticing. And it's been mentioned that, well, take it or leave it. I've heard people say if we don't agree with this, they might move to someplace else. Well, there's benefits on both parts. And I know there's a representative here from the development. I mean, we have to entice people to come and take these jobs. $31,000 in the town of Hamburg, you cannot sustain a family of four. You just can't. The cost of living just doesn't allow it, or the consumer price index. So that's my concern. And again, I applaud the fact that we're bringing some development here and we're using that land that's going to sit there. But it has to be a mutual somewhere agreement. I think labor has to be involved in there. I hope that table's open, and I hope it's good luck to all the organizations involved. And I thank you very much for Sean. It was very well informed, and I do agree with other people that said there has to be more of these. Different forums could be offered under safe distancing probably, and some people are still fearful of not doing that, and that's understandable. I have members that won't meet and won't go into auditoriums. I represent the Hamburg School District here in Hamburg, and they don't like that either. So I think you need more public input. I think it's very imperative you do that. So thank you very much. I really appreciate giving my time.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for bearing through the meeting here. Anyone else that is on the line, and then I will go through the written comments. All right, let me move on this. Gary, you had sent a communication to one of our board members requesting the local labor, and Mr. Reynolds, our board member, had kindly provided that to you. Carol Gillette from 4035 Hardwood Avenue in Blaisdell. She had questions. She submitted a letter to the IDA, Jim Shaw, Cammie Jarrell, Drew Riley, Sarah Desjardins, town board member Sean Conley, Elizabeth Farrell, Karen Hoke, and Michael Petrie. These were related to some of the truck and environmental comments, but we did address them with her, and I'll go through that. Truck traffic will increase tremendously. FedEx, even with conditions of pre-permitted and the supplemental environmental impact that restrict truck traffic, their trucks don't comply. There's a posted sign on Bayview Road, and they still do not comply. There are trucks added to the trucks from Ravenwood North and Industrial Park, which is also not supposed to be using Bayview Road per their covenants, and they do not comply. The area has become overrun with trucks of all sizes. Remembering that Bayview Road east of the railroad tracks is a residential area, trucks have made it very dangerous. She was advised in 2014 closing Bayview Road at the railroad tracks is a long-term plan, phase 3 plan, indicated in the seeker documents. She feels it is long overdue. She is requesting we do it now. The other option is to upgrade Bayview Road from the railroad tracks to Big Tree by widening the road, installing sidewalks and curbs to keep the area residents safe, but the closing at the tracks is the best solution and safest for all affected. She also expressed in another point concerns of the noise of trucks backing up and beeping heard through the night, every night from FedEx, requesting that Amazon arrange its docks for the same noise as heard in the residential area. Lighting at FedEx is supposed to be night sky compliant, but when you see the glow from the sky miles away in the nearby residential area, I would say they are not. Requesting for lighting at Amazon not to be so intrusive. Lastly, a member of the Traffic Safety Advisory Board in Hamburg, I would like to request there's no egress onto Route 5 because that is a one-way in front of Amazon site and the possibility of serious accidents from drivers turning left. We did follow up with her. Excuse me, my contacts are dry. Is that developer had made several accommodations to the site location and the juxtaposition of traffic in and out of the site, the location of the loading docks being as far as possibly removed from the residential area and adjacent to the neighboring industrial district. Carol, I don't know if you are on the line, if you have any other questions. Okay, moving on. Marty Walters had submitted a comment in writing as well. Marty was on the line and did present. He was, just a remind and a note for the record, he would like to see the developers take advantage of the newly signed PACE legislation that enables them to finance energy efficiency upgrades through property tax assessments. He continues on to lay out a sketch and estimates based on the return on investment for that we will note for the record. Jeffrey Brilski, who was on the call and spoke earlier. I don't know if Jeff is still on the call. I will put your note into the minutes and submit it to the board as you had directed. If you have any other comments, Jeff, would you like me to read the letter?
Not necessary, Sean, but thank you very much anyways.
Okay. And you know, you did cover the points of the letter there.
Yeah.
You know, lifelong resident of the town. You spoke a lot about the wages. You listed the several employees. I believe you noted it here that work for UPS. I would say it's probably about 50 employees that live in the town that are these are both working and retired, correct?
No, the list of people I sent are active working employees. Those are active working blue collar employees. The white collar employees and retirees, both blue collar and white collar, are not included in that list of that I sent to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Sean.
Mr. Swain, we had a communication largely just making sure that you had the invitation and link. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, thank you, Sean.
For Sean Ryan and for Senator Sean Ryan and Assemblyman John Rivera, I am putting in the press release that I did receive from the Hamburg Sun regarding the concern about the direction to move the public hearing and expand the public hearing. Do you have any further comments on that?
Just that I would encourage the board to hold a second public hearing at a time different than 7:30 a.m.
Thank you. And last, as I had alluded to earlier, but just to bring it into the minutes, was Sean Connolly, who had the question regarding the lease term that Mr. Augustinelli had answered on behalf of the developer. Okay, any other call for public comments in this session? Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Sean.
Would the board like to address the concerns about the public hearing and look to the potential of tabling the public hearing at this time, not closing it, and adjourning this meeting with a public hearing at a later date?
Yeah, so first off, as chairman, I want to thank everybody for their input. It's important that all aspects are looked at. I know I appreciate Jeff. Jeff is a good guy. We're on the board together, and I appreciate everything he does. And the board members now to date, I appreciate your time. This is a lot of time that we all have jobs, we all have families. I got 5 kids, and I understand the problem of meeting and juggling virtuals, virtual going to school and then getting on the bus and all that stuff. So I appreciate all that. Thank you for taking the time. I would make a motion to table the public hearing.
Second.
You went, all in favor?
On the question,
On
can
the
we have some discussion
question?
on that, please?
Yes.
I'd like to understand what, I mean, we're tabling the public hearing with the intent of reconvening it at another time. I want to be very clear on what we're doing here.
That is correct.
That would be my motion.
So I would coordinate the details, communicate a time to the public, and we would look to do that.
Hey, Sean, let's make this a roll
Can I
call vote also, please.
hang on? I got a question, Mr. Chairman. So
Yes,
if
sir.
we're gonna table this and have another public hearing, we're gonna require a public notice of we're discussing between 10 and 7 days. That's what I've been hearing out here. So the public hearing cannot be happening until February, I'm gonna say 15th, somewhere around in that week out that way going forward, because we have to do another public notice, and besides find a facility and everything like that, since we're not going to use this format where we had almost 50 people on. Is that the intent of the table?
On the question as well, Mr. Reynolds, perhaps we could ask our attorney if it would be appropriate if we close this, or if we make a motion to schedule an additional hearing and close this particular hearing.
Janet?
Yes, Jennifer.
You can do it either way. You could either adjourn this public hearing and keep it open for a future date and place to be determined, or you could close this public hearing and then republish and do a whole another meeting at a time and date to be determined.
Okay, and just, with the sign of the times and the way things are going in this wacky world, I think we have to have a virtual / in-person component. So that those who, for health reasons or otherwise, cannot physically attend, they have the opportunity to participate and watch and send in their questions via email or whatever we come up with.
Correct. I would agree, if we're going to try and find a facility big enough to allow us to follow social distancing, that there should also be a virtual component for those people who are not able to attend because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I agree, because I will not be in attendance of that with the public hearing like that. I've had the virus before, and I do not want to be exposed again. The second part is, Jennifer, do we have to do the same procedure of notification again, the 7 to 10 day notification?
Correct. Absolutely. We would notice it so that there is full and complete opportunity for the public to attend.
Okay, so if we table this, then we have to put out a no notification, and everything has to move forward off of that. And then we have another public hearing, and then we'd have to make a decision based on where we're moving forward.
Right. Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Doyle or Jennifer, sorry, point of
No. Please
more
address it now.
clarification, just trying to dot the i's and cross the t's. Is our only paper of record that we publish in, or is it legal to just publish it on our website? What are our what's our obligation for publishing?
It must be published in the paper designated as the official paper of the IDA, and then posted on the website as well.
Mr. Doyle, is that the Sun, the front page, the Buffalo News?
It is the front page and the Hamburg Sun.
Okay, so those are weekly papers. So we're getting nothing in this week. It wouldn't be, I mean, not to push people, but we need to pick a date today so we can meet the proper notice requirement.
Right. But if you're going to look for a public forum that's large enough to hold a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting, that may take some doing and some research.
And also, I'd like to say I agree that a in-person and Zoom / meeting would be beneficial. But if we go orange again, that changes everything.
Correct, correct. Well, actually, this public hearing is required by state law, which makes it a mandatory meeting that has to be held.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're very welcome.
Jennifer, there were some comments during the meeting about the requisite notice for this meeting. If we were to adjourn this meeting, and if this theoretically represented the end of the public discussion, are we in compliant with our obligation?
I will research that and double check that.
One comment here, make sure that we do the public hearing in the evening so we get a better cross-section representation instead of in the morning.
So Sean, could you kind of recap the motion that we're looking at for Andy and the rest of myself and the rest of the board with all these comments? With the amendments or whatever you want to call them?
So I believe the intent is to close this public hearing and schedule a second public hearing at a later date within the required notice period in the evening, and preferably at a location that can accept public in accordance with social distancing.
That'd be my motion.
Agreeable to that motion?
Yes.
And
I believe, Lance, are you still seconding it?
Yes, exactly.
Any other questions?
Sounds like two motions to me.
Sounds like a lot to me too, but we're closing this.
Well, let's do that. Let's close this meet. We're going to close this. I would ask for a motion to close the.
Well, you can't listen. You can't just ask for another motion.
No, we can't close before a motion.
First of all, we have a motion on the floor.
Right? It's on the question and needs to be voted on, either yay or nay.
Or you can amend that motion. Make a motion to amend that motion and then resecond.
Yes.
We could rescind our second and first.
Correct.
So rescind.
Second one. Are you rescinding your second?
I don't see a problem with the motion as it stands, Bob.
Well, then make the motion.
Well, the motion, you made a motion for a tabling of it, and we're looking at closing it. That was the original motion, I believe.
Yeah, but it's one and the same, tabling it or closing it.
No. Closing it means this session is done.
I understand what it means, Bob, but the motion really was to have a second meeting.
Yes, that's the second motion we're going to need if we close this one.
But I want to make the motion to have a second meeting before we close this one. That's why I want to make sure we have that in place prior to closing this one. I think that's proper.
Why don't we rescind the motion and then make a new motion to close this public hearing and to recall a second public hearing at a date and time to be determined, and try to hold that in a facility that will accommodate everyone safely and have a Zoom video component.
That's what I thought the motion exactly was, is Sean stated to everything together. I'm okay if that's the motion, but I thought that's what we said.
Okay.
Let's just clarify, and I may have messed that up from the get-go. Jennifer, I appreciate your input, keeping me on the straight and narrow here. So I have just rescinded my motion. Whence I would ask that either you make a motion to
I'll rescind. Go ahead. Go ahead, Andy. You make
Okay.
I'll rescind. Go ahead and make your motion.
I make a motion to close this meeting and schedule a second public hearing at a time and a date afforded to us, given the laws of the land. So the proper time frame, all that stuff. And Sean, let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
Second.
Palmer, please take out the
Question?
close this meeting.
We have not closed this meeting yet, no. Okay, any questions on this motion on the floor? Roll call vote, Cam Hall?
Can you read the motion to me, Sean, as it's going to go into the
Yes.
record?
Motion to close this public hearing, schedule a second public hearing at a time to be determined in the evening providing public accommodations and social distancing for a public forum, and virtual access to maintain the health and safety of those that are concerned.
Aye.
Bob Hutchison.
Aye.
Shannon McGregor-Plar.
Aye.
Thomas Moses.
Aye.
Andrew Palmer.
Aye.
Davis Pekulski.
Yes.
Bob Reynolds.
Aye.
Norma Russer Kelly.
Aye.
Wentz Valentin.
Yes.
Thank you. The meeting is not closed yet. I just wanted to, talk that this is a substantial project. I think it's great that the public input, and I'm thankful for the public input and the board input on this project. We're looking at a substantial investment in the town. There's significant spin-off of about 2.76 jobs for warehouse jobs. We can continue to establish our town and move forward in any event with a review of this project. So we're thankful for the developer. We're thankful for the opportunities afforded to us and our board of directors and our local government. Motion to close the Hamburg
So
IGA
moved.
meeting at 9:45 a.m.
I'll second
Thank you.
it.
Thank you, Norma. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just for clarification, because there still are a number of people on the call. Roll call vote, Cam Hall.
On the closing of the meeting, aye.
Bob Hutchison.
Aye.
Shannon McGregor-Plar.
Aye.
Thomas Moses.
Aye.
Andrew Palmer.
Aye.
Davis Pekulski.
Yes.
Bob Reynolds.
Aye.
Norma Russer Kelly.
Aye.
Wentz Valentin.
Aye.
Thank you again, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.